This is Hit Publish, the first podcast dedicated to uncovering heroic businesses secretly navigating the ever-changing digital landscape. Each episode, we'll play host to leaders in their fields discussing their adoption of the latest digital trends and related technologies, addressing the total effects on the way we market businesses and brands across all of our industries. And occasionally, we'll pay homage to the technology giants who dictate our online lives and the platforms they provide, reminding ourselves of the self-inflicted and inevitable misuse of personal data. So if this all sounds good to you, skip the terms and conditions, ignore the privacy policy, and hit subscribe. On this episode of Hit Publish.
We could probably all in this room say accounting isn't known as the most exciting area to be in.
No.
We'd never say that to your face.
I'm happy to admit it, you know. That is what you're going to get when you trust your finances with a new startup. We're not trying to give everybody all the tech in the world. We're trying to give the right tech to the right people.
We spoke to Joe from the newly rebranded Nephos, a smarter, technology-inspired and digitally-led accountancy firm. Nephos believes that there's a better way to analyse and grow your business by harnessing the power of online cloud-based technology to make a real, measurable difference to your business.
Joe gave us the lowdown on the latest innovations from the world of digital accounting and shared with us some of the behind-the-scenes tools that his clients are using to simplify and grow their businesses.
We'll also have our usual 5-minute latest news update and a reminder to please subscribe to Hit Publish, your digital marketing, online advertising and technology-inspired podcast.
Good work. Okay, we're recording. Hi guys, another episode of Hit Publish.
Hello.
Thanks for coming back and thanks for joining us, everyone. Joe from Nephos is with us today.
Hello.
Previously DS Accounting in Cheltenham. Here to talk about all things digital and their rebrand and their move into what's the word? Fintech?
Yeah, fintech, digital accounting. Digital accounting really is where we're kind of majoring, but fintech, yeah.
It sounds interesting. It's something I'm not 100% familiar with, which is why I'm going to let my colleague Chris sort of head this one up a little bit, I think. But let's just jump straight into it. I mean, you've recently rebranded, as I mentioned just earlier, from DS Accounting to Nephos. What was the reason for that?
Well, a couple of reasons really. We could probably all in this room say accounting isn't known as the most exciting area to be in.
We'd never say that to your face.
I'm happy to admit it, you know. So we just thought, you know what, let's try and do something a bit different. Let's try and be a bit cooler, if I'm allowed to say the word cooler in accounting. But yeah, we just wanted to be different. We wanted to come across a bit cooler. And actually, there's a lot of cool tech in our industry at the moment that a lot of people don't know about. And we wanted to bring that to the world, well, not the world, but you know what I mean, to the masses, to say, look, there's this cool stuff out there that can help you be more efficient, more profitable. Let's show you all about that, really.
What's the reaction been like to that change?
I mean, it's early days. We're about a month, just over a month in, but it's been a very positive change. We've had a lot of questions about why and what it means, and you know where the name came from and all that sort of stuff.
What does Nephos mean?
So nephology is the study of cloud, Greek word for the study of clouds.
Right.
But also studying those cloud patterns and how we can predict the weather forecast based on those cloud patterns.
Okay.
So our thought process is using cloud technology to predict a future path for a business and help you on that journey.
Clever.
So is that kind of...
Thank you very much.
But was it your idea?
No.
The
likes of you guys.
Is what you're doing with your customers different now to before in a I guess when you trained or whatever, it was kind of quite old school accounting, so to speak, and you've evolved?
Yeah, so it's difficult. Like, yes, what we're doing now is going to be different. You know, the change is going to have a positive impact on our clients and also future clients and that side of things. But the philosophy of what we're actually going to be doing has always been in our minds, has always been, and as an individual, I love tech. You know, I love all things new and shiny, a bit like Ian over there.
Yeah.
So
don't know what you're talking about.
so you know, it's always been in my mind to try and become a bit more tech focused.
Yeah.
It's just now that world is becoming a lot more accessible in our industry that we felt was a good time to kind of pounce on the opportunity.
Yeah.
I was looking at your website actually yesterday, and it's very trendy. The style of website that you've got, those sort of use of graphics and bit. What was that sort of something you always envisioned it would become? Because that is a million miles from what you certainly originally had, which was a very corporate blue kind of feel, a typical accountancy feel.
Yeah.
Like if I landed on your site and I didn't already know who you were, or I didn't go into detail with reading it, I wouldn't immediately go, that's an accounting.
Yeah, it looks like a SaaS company or something.
Exactly.
And that's actually a real challenge because, we want it to be cooler. We wanted people to look at it and go, they're different. They're not a normal accountancy firm. But at the same time, you want people to know you're an accountancy firm. So
there's a fine line.
How do you be different but also be the same?
Yeah.
And that is the challenge. So that's part of the message now we've got to get across is that, and that's partly why the domain is Nephos Accountants. We're not Nephos Accountants, we're Nephos. Mm-hmm. But we wanted an element of who we are
nudge
within that.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about some cool tech coming to the accounting industry, and obviously this is a digital marketing sort of based podcast. What are some cool? You've got some sort of top, however many apps and things that you use or that you like your customers, that you show your customers and enlighten them with?
Yeah. So there's a few that people will probably have heard of. First of all, Xero.
Awful. Yeah, you know how I feel about Xero.
As an accounting software.
Xero is really good functionality-wise and what it can do and how it integrates with loads of other stuff. But my God, it needs some UI, like people to come in and just sort it out.
If you're hearing this, Xero, this is Ian's opinion, not mine. And there aren't actually many people that share that opinion from our client base.
Yeah, no, of course, but I think.
But I can.
I'm looking at it from obviously my perspective of.
And actually, early on, and we're sidetracking a little bit now, but early on, for my sell for Xero was, it's great for you as a client. It's rubbish for us as the accountancy firm because it didn't do all the bits and pieces that the clunky old desktop. Yeah, they've built it over time, and more and more functionality has come into it over time. Yeah. But initially, it didn't do the bits that obviously it did the basics, but it didn't do some of the more complex stuff that as accountants we needed to do, or it didn't do it very well, very easily. So actually, our sell early was, it's amazing for you as a client, it looks great, you love it, it's much easier for you to use. But rubbish for us as the accountants who are doing all this for you, Mr. Client. You see, so
I reckon someone must feel like I do at Xero, because I've noticed that you can now click a button to see a new view of creating invoices and build.
Yeah.
Which
I'm sure they're developing
definitely,
over time. Will. And in the nicest possible way, you put it next to a desktop software like Sage, the UI is amazing compared to something like that.
Yeah.
So we're in context.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's fairly good. So so that's probably one that a lot of people will be aware of. So then there's just different areas really. I mean, Receipt Bank is one that is a very basic app that some people will know and some people won't. A receipt scanning app. As the name says, it can bank all your receipts, and then what that does is export it straight into your accounting software. It's got artificial intelligence, it's got the OCR reading software, so it will read the invoice and it will remember certain things about what you've done with that before. So if you've put it to a certain nominal code in your accounts, it will remember where that went and it will put it to the same place again.
That OCR side of things, that's where I can take a picture of like a receipt, right? And it can transcribe that into. Okay.
So and it's very, very detailed. It'll take out the tax rate on that invoice, and so it's not just I can see the date and I can see the amount and the supplier. It's I can actually see the different element, and they're now introducing line items. So if you've got an invoice with 10 lines, it can extract different VAT amounts on. Getting a bit boring in accounting.
No, that's
now,
impressive.
But,
impressive from a tech point of view.
Yeah, it's an impressive system. That's actually something really simple from what it actually achieves, if that makes sense. But then you can auto-publish, so you can get to a point where you can fire. So we've got builders, for example, Travis Perkins is a fairly consistent supplier. As soon as they send that straight into Receipt Bank, within minutes it's in Xero automatically without them doing anything. So that is from a speed of, kind of for us as accountants to add value. We're not doing the rubbish, boring processing stuff that adds no value to the client. We can then use that data to then really help them kind of grow their business and become more efficient.
On that point of adding value to client, because I mean I'm the younger one for the listeners.
You have to put that in every week, don't you?
Unbelievable.
Just remind you the old dinosaurs. For me, I think I've not that much experience with accountants, but from what I've seen, it's basically kind of like sort of bean counting. Adding. Okay, this goes. We did this. It goes here. It goes here. It's like you don't add a huge amount of value. So I was wondered, with the really big accountancy agents like firms, how are people paying them so much money to do such basic, not basic, but like nothing work kind of thing?
And that I think that's the kind of the reckoning, if you like, in accounting world at the moment, is everybody's starting to, clients themselves are now starting to realize that what are they paying for? You know, what are they benefiting from by the basics being done and being paid a lot of money to do those basics? You know, where is, like you say, where is the value? And I think that's why, you know, a lot of accountants now are starting to realize if we don't move into this more tech focused, being able to provide advice and that sort of stuff. And, you know, for us, we're about being a trusted advisor for your business. Okay. I've said it to a lot of people. I don't actually like the word accountant. I don't like being known as an accountant because I feel I'm much more than that. Okay. I feel I can actually sit and listen and advise you as a business advisor. Yeah. But having that accountancy background and knowledge helps me do that part of the job as well. Right, so I would never take away the accounting side of what I do. But if I can make it more kind of efficient and streamlined and much quicker, then I can do the bits that actually add the value.
Right. Okay.
So that's where...
does the value lie in the forecasting and being able to...
But not necessarily just forecasting, but also giving you real-time data. So giving you the, you know, even if that's a really, really simple small business that all they want to be able to see is how much every month they should put aside to save for corporation tax. You know, very simple process. I don't want any crazy advice or any forecast or anything like that. They can do that on Xero if we can make that data real time. We can get a rough idea of what they need to put aside, so there's no big scary tax bills at the end of the year.
Sure. Right.
So that, you know, and from the simplistic side to the complex, you know, we're trying to raise money for funding. We can produce nice, lovely forecasts which you can take to the bank and they'll be much happier with than a fag packet with some numbers on.
Sure.
You know, that's where the value comes. Is the value doesn't have to be a great big forecast. The value could just be helping you save for your corporation tax, so there's no big scary bill at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But it's letting the tech and the AI stuff that's there now that wasn't 10 years ago, put the numbers in place, and then you can
do the basic stuff.
Yeah, do the basics and the mundane
to interpret those and then.
But also, I think if we just take it from an accounting business, you know, the staff as well. You know, how boring is it for staff to just sit and process invoices all day? You know, there's no enjoyment out of that for a member of staff. So then, how do you retain that member of staff when they can do that same job everywhere else? It becomes about price. Yeah, you know, a lot of things when it's easily done elsewhere, it becomes how cheap or how much more can the staff member ask for if everybody needs them to do that thing. Whereas if we say, well, actually, no, we want skilled individuals, persons, if that's right. People. That's what I was thinking. That's the right words. You know, we want people that can sit in front of clients and have a conversation, and they don't need to be experts. Yeah, they just need to be able to understand, listen, take that back. Then we can provide advice off the back of that, rather than just literally sit in the office all day processing invoices. Right. And that's where I think from a staffing perspective as well, it gives accounting firms a much, you know, I would like to think, and we're recruiting at the moment, so if anyone wants a job, we might recruit it by the point this goes out. But like we hopefully are a more attractive proposition than a traditional firm, because we're doing cooler things. We're mixing with cooler people.
Yeah.
And I guess even if you did have a factory full of bookkeeper people there doing that stuff, they're not going to be able to do it as quick as taking a picture of a receipt on your phone and putting it in.
So, yeah. We're all humans. We all make mistakes, you know.
Speak for yourself, Joe. But good diversion there, and we talked about it. But is there any other top tip or top apps that you would kind of recommend? So we talked about Xero and Receipt Bank that plugs into that.
I'll just throw a few kind of different areas, and I won't talk too much detail. So Pleo is one that we're working a lot with. We're doing a lot of kind of joint content with them as well at the moment. They're an expenses card, so prepaid expenses card. So say you've got 10 sales staff all on the road that are doing expenses on spreadsheets, losing receipts, therefore you're not claiming VAT necessarily, or, you know, also you don't know what they've spent because they don't bring you the receipt because they keep forgetting, that sort of stuff. This card, you preload it, you can put spending limits, you can put notifications. So
I've heard of that actually. I'm getting retargeted.
Yeah.
Okay. They're doing quite a lot of direct marketing, I think. But that just, you know, you can get notifications if you want somebody to only spend 50 quid on a lunch with a client. If they spend more than that, it will ping the manager or whoever to say, just to let you know. So but from a management and a business owner perspective, it gives you a much better handle on
what's going on.
Yeah, and it's a prepaid card basically.
Do you use it?
Yep.
You do?
Yep.
And you dish out to the staff or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah. So all our staff have got one. So
Yeah.
again, if they're going to get milk for the office, they can use that.
Okay.
And as soon as you do, as probably should say as well, so there's an app obviously on your phone. As soon as you make that purchase, it will pop up on your phone, and it will say you just made this. Snap a picture of your receipt. And again, that's that prompt to do something.
Sure.
Yeah.
And again, takes away, because it again uses AI and uses OCR to pull out that data. Again,
Yeah.
takes away that manual processing of expenses.
Starling, the bank
Yeah.
app. So I've seen that they've been testing at the minute where when you make a purchase, you know how it sort of immediately shows in the statement or whatever. But when you click through into that, they're testing being able to bring the details of
Yeah.
that transaction through. So not just it was this much at this location, it will break down VAT and it will do all the other nuts and bolts that you'd need out of that transaction. So it's almost like they're creeping into that.
Yeah.
So
spin.
Revolut, who I've was another one just to quickly kind of mention, are an online digital bank like Starling, and they have just literally the last couple of days, we've been trialing it for a month or so, but they've just literally released their own expense management function.
Okay.
So again, the same process. It's
Yeah.
a standard bank account you can use, but when you buy something, you can snap the receipt and it will do those bits and pieces.
What's your take on, coming from absolutely the right world, what's your take on these sort of online digital banks and your sort of the future of the high street bank, so to speak? Do you think they're dead or dying, or they need to catch up, or
Can I get a Starling mortgage in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge. Is like how. So I think it was Clearbank, who basically are a clearing bank, which, without being boring, are the kind of the people behind the banks, if you know what I mean, that process the clearing transactions. They basically back Tide, who are an online digital bank.
Okay.
And what their CEO said was that their big thing is that they can pay back every single customer the moment they ask for it. If every one of their customers wanted all their money out of their accounts, they can pay them back immediately. None of the high street banks can do that. So if every customer went to HSBC and said, "I want my £1,000 I've got in my bank account given to me in cash," HSBC would not be able to pay every single person their money back, because they're using those deposits to then put on
Investments.
investments to bring more money to build their business. That's how they make money.
Yeah.
So that is something that the high street banks will never be able to do. But on the back of that, how does someone like Tide then offer a kind of borrowing product if they're not using that money to generate? Do you know, it's that that's the. So I kind of think, how are they going to go from being we're amazing, we're perfect, to actually we need a bit of the dirtiness of what we're saying they're bad at, because without that, how do we build a business model?
so actually it needs to change at another level from the clearing bank, so to speak, before the likes of Starling can take that next step
and I'm not an expert in digital banking,
Sure.
to the technicalities of how that works, but just from what I've read and listened to, that's what I get, that they're trying to be better and cleaner and tidier, but actually some of that bad stuff needs to happen in order to generate the money to do the other stuff. So I don't think we'll lose the high street. I think what we'll lose is the people like us that are more tech savvy will walk away. I don't have a high street bank at all anymore. Personally, I have digital banks, and business I have digital banks. So, but again, it comes back to, again, without getting too boring, not all digital banks, and this is probably important for people to know as well, not all digital banks have, so HSBC, Barclays have £85,000 worth of government backed for every single person.
If they, FSCS thing.
FSCS, If they, I can't remember the exact, but it's something along those lines. If that bank goes bust, £85,000 of that money is protected. Starling have that because they are a proper regulated UK bank.
Mm-hmm.
Tide don't have that. Revolut don't have that.
Monzo
probably will.
Mm-hmm.
They're only just launching their business banking, so I don't know that for a fact, but they probably will, because they are a UK regulated bank in their personal side of things. But a lot of these digital banks are they're called e-money. They've got an e-money license. They're FCA regulators. They are all legit, but they've got an e-money license, which doesn't give that protection.
Right.
So if you've got £500,000 in your bank account, do you want to stick it all in an online bank, which gives you no protection, or would you rather put that in a more high street name? Did you see? So I think there'll be a big push on the freelancers, the smaller businesses, the businesses that,
and the day-to-day bankers.
But actually that corporate side of things, you may find
the big money is going to stay with the high street banks.
I mean, Revolut, I went to Revolut's office in April, I think it was, and they were very much like, we're quite happy to be a secondary bank. because their big push is currency, so they don't charge. They basically give you the interbank rate, which is the rate that you would get if you went to the Bank of England or however it's done.
All right.
Whereas if you go to the post office, they mark up that rate. That's how they make their money on the transaction. So they're kind of very happy to be a secondary bank behind a HSBC that's just used for multi-currency. Or
I think, like you say, for most consumers, I see no reason why, if you just need a bank account, I see no reason why you'd ever go to a high street bank anymore over the other options that are there.
It would be just security. The only thing that people would go to the high street banks for is that security. That, how do you know your bank? Because how do you know my account is safe? How do I know my money's safe?
But with, say, Starling, they are a regulated UK bank, so you could stick 85 grand in that account, and if they went bust, you'd be covered. So
I think there's also the perception level. I think some people like to have a door to bang on. What's going on?
And also that phone call as well. I banked with First Direct before, and somebody said to me, "Why did you bother switching?" Because they are kind of an online bank. Because although they're HSBC owned, they're not. They don't have a First Direct branch. But their customer service is amazing. You pick up the phone, and the reason I did it was to kind of be in the world that I'm preaching about, to learn about these things. And I kind of want to find problems, because then I can let clients know if there are things that are causing them an issue.
Yeah.
But the customer service side of things, a lot of these apps, banks are all on the app. All of the chat is on an app, which is fine, because you tend to get a quicker response. You're not sat on hold. But also, if you just want to rant to someone, like you just said, it's not that easy on on an app. So I think
we're saying that Starling you can call Starling.
Oh, can you?
Yeah. You have the option of chat or call. And you call them, and usually you have to jump through some hoops with security, all that kind of stuff. Well, they say, look at your phone. There'll be a code on there coming now, and the code pops up in the app. You give them the code, and away you go.
You sound like a man that complains a lot.
Is there a better or worse ones between these? Because there's a couple of these new banks, Starling you mentioned, and we mentioned Monzo.
It really depends on the scenario. And obviously, we're happy to talk to
Tide.
people's scenarios. But again, if you've got a lot of multi-currency stuff, then I would recommend a Revolut, because you can basically create a currency account, a fully operational currency account in pretty much any currency you want. So if you're trading with America, you can create a fully functioning dollar account with the bank details that can be paid straight into, not just a holding account. So that's a positive, and then I think it's personal preference, really.
Without going into them in detail, is there any more sort of little apps and things there?
I mean, obviously we could I could sit here all day long and talk about all these things. So a couple more just quick sound bites here then. So Fluidly, cash flow and credit control software. So automating that credit control. Nobody wants to do credit control. Automates that process, helps you manage cash flow better.
Okay.
I'm quite interested in Fluidly, because is that how you say it?
Fluidly,
yeah. Because I was sort of looking at it, and it's always nice to see what's going on and to project and sort of. But I kind of thought, Christ, I guess these guys are really jumping, because it links to Xero, right? So I'm guessing the data that's going between these two platforms is quite hardcore and sensitive.
Yep.
How are they sort of managing that, the security side of things? Because it's sensitive stuff.
Yeah, and I know Xero are very hot on security, and the honest answer is I don't know how they manage the security of the data between the two systems, but I know that from Xero's perspective, they're very, very hot on security, and it's not an easy thing to jump onto the Xero, kind of API. You can link into their API very easily, but I think to actually have a real direct, clean link, you've got to go through quite a few hoops. So I imagine there's a security aspect to that. But from Xero's perspective, and just quickly on that, they always used to say to me that they've got use Amazon's web servers, which obviously dotted around the world. If Xero's whole system has a kind of hack, there's a bigger problem in the world probably than your accounting data getting out, because there's a big hack into the Amazon web servers, which hosts, as we know, a lot of Netflix, lot of stuff these days in the world. So
you work presumably quite tightly with these apps. Are you so close that you're sitting down with them, you're talking to them, so
all of the ones that I've mentioned, we are very regularly in contact with. Fluidly, we've done some product development with, so they've given us some beta testing. We've gone through it. We've said this is not working, and they've also done some, which is quite interesting. I found they've said, here's a screen. If you click that button, what would you expect to see? Because that really, because when someone shows you something that they've done,
Yeah.
it's not always that easy to say what you would have expected there. And it's with this, they actually said, "What would you expect behind that?" And I'd say, and they'd go, "Okay, cool, because we've thought this, but that's kind of what you said, but not quite. And how does ours look compared to what you thought?" So we've done quite a lot of, and do you know what's really nice about all these people? You actually see what you've suggested, not all the time, but elements of what you suggested end up in the product.
Yeah.
And when you give feedback and just never see that feedback, and you just think, why do I bother giving feedback? With these guys, they're actually putting back into the product. And Pleo just quickly actually invited us in January out to Copenhagen, which is where
on your social media, you got a jolly over there, didn't you?
Yeah, very good jolly. Although I was on dry January, so there wasn't overly jolly, which wasn't planned very well. But yeah, they invited us over to there because they're Danish, so they're big in Scandinavia. They're trying to break into the UK market, and they're doing a good job. But they wanted to understand the UK market, so invited us out there to see them at their office and talk that through. And so working very closely with them.
So all these apps and programs and things that plug into your Xero and everything else, it sounds like a minefield. Well, sounds like some good tools out there. How do I know what ones I should use for my business and all that?
Yeah, so like I said, it all depends on the business that you are running and the systems that you have and the processes you go through and all those sorts of things. So what we are, part of our rebrand is we're creating a new product or service, if you want to call it, where we're coming up with a nice, cool name. But at the moment, it's along the lines of being a kind of digital diagnostic or digital audit of your business. So we can come in, we can look at your current systems, look at your current banking arrangements, look at your current credit control systems, how you manage expenses, all those sorts of things we've spoken about, and then come up with a report to recommend apps that can be implemented into your business. And then we can, from there, we can either help with the implementation or not. If you want to do it yourself, we can help with support ongoing or not, again, if you don't want us to do. So lots of opportunities there. We're also then able to work with, obviously, our current clients, but also clients that have an accountant already. And we're not looking necessarily to steal that client from the accountant. It might just be that we work on that. We then hand it over to the accountant and say, this is the system we've set up, crack on.
Sure.
Might be that the client wants to come to us. But also we can work with in-house finance teams as well. So an in-house finance department that want to be more efficient, we can help those as well.
Should we do some news?
We will, and then we'll come back to linking all that digital stuff back to marketing and how you're doing the marketing stuff, I reckon.
Let's do some news. Sam, 5 minutes on the clock.
Here we go again.
Let's see if we can actually achieve it this time. Joe, we've never done it. We've never nailed 5 news articles in 5 minutes, but
okay,
we'll try again.
Ready?
We maybe do 2.
If you're lucky.
Ready,
Right.
go. Do you remember not long ago maybe Tesla announced their new Roadster? At the same time they sort of done a surprise announcement of the truck,
Yes.
the electric truck, and it was super powerful. I think it could go, was it 500
500
miles
miles,
off a full charge?
It's meant to last like 1 million miles, warranty or range or whatever it is before it breaks down. That kind of
really?
stuff. It's really cool.
So it looks great, and their sort of aim was to sort of enter into the haulage and delivery industry.
Yeah, replace all the truck drivers.
Yeah, indeed. But what I've learned and found out is that actually UPS has been doing that for quite some time.
Quietly.
Already, yeah,
Yeah.
quietly. Yeah, indeed. UPS have been delivering goods in self-driving trucks for a good number of months now. Nobody knew about it. The trucks look quite normal. So on the road, if you pass them, you wouldn't know
never
about
know.
it. Yeah, the company is called Chew or Chew Simple. So that's TU Simple.
Isn't that the clothing brand at Sainsbury's?
Chew, I think it is. Yeah.
Sorry.
UPS,
by
we
Dave
know where
Trucks by
you
now.
shop.
I've got kids, and so that's what happens. Yeah.
UPS themselves have invested in this startup company. So I don't know if you know sort of how it works, but officially there's different levels of autonomous driving from level 1 to 5. So level 1 is like what our car is like, Sam. So it will speed up and slow down on sort of an adaptive cruise control, and it will stay in your lane and sort of not veer off the lane. Yeah. So that's level 1. There, right up the other end, level 5 is there's no one in the car, there's no steering wheel, no pedals, no nothing. It's totally autonomous. To put it into perspective, Tesla right now with its most advanced autonomous driving is level 2.
Right. Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay, so yeah, it's actually still quite low down on the scale. These UPS trucks are currently driving at level 3.
So these level 3 AI type cars are on our roads at the moment.
Yeah, not our roads, I should say. It's in the US.
Okay,
It's
Of
in the
course,
US.
everything great.
Yeah, everything starts there, doesn't it? So yeah, testing out there, and there's actually some footage online on YouTube, and you can watch this truck do the job. And so level 3 basically means this still requires a person behind the wheel for safety and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately is completely hands off. And this truck will drive down the motorway. It will handle traffic lights. It will handle turns. It will pretty much get you
A to
where
B.
you need to be. Yeah, pretty much where you need to be. It's a scary thought, isn't it?
It
So
is.
if they're already at level 3, I've written it down somewhere. I can't
Listen
find it in
to the
there,
next
but
one.
it's sort of their aim is to get to level 4 with the help of UPS, sort of
Yeah.
funding that as so they're already on their way there to level 4, which would level 4 is I think it's no driver. And it will drive.
So like level 4 and level 5 is basically high automation. I've got it up here. And level 4 is basically if something bad happens, the truck doesn't need a person to intervene. The truck will handle it. Even if it doesn't know what to do, it will figure it out. So
Am I allowed to say that I don't like my missus driving? So how am I going to manage with a car driving?
Yeah. But how about that on our roads already? Level
that is
3
crazy.
autonomous driving. It's
Yeah,
coming. It's
there you
happening. The other side of that, of course, is that jobs and all that. But then this tipping scale is so much safer and a whole nother debate.
There's
Yeah,
letting
we've
computers
got
deal
3
with
minutes.
letting computers deal with my receipts as opposed to
Yeah.
letting computers drive my car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a bit.
But
scary, isn't it?
I reckon certainly in our lifetime we'll see fully autonomous
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
driving.
I need it now.
Perhaps not yours, Chris, but certainly in our lifetime.
Right, good. Is that
Quick.
5 minutes done?
No, 3 more minutes. So
Oh,
quickly,
right, okay.
YouTube is testing larger thumbnails. Good.
Boring.
Next, move on. 5G. 5G is. We had a discussion about this yesterday, so I
Yes.
tread carefully. Is not commonplace, but it's certainly in the larger cities,
In
the
the
more
larger
major cities
cities.
in the US, it's pretty normal. It's happening. It's certainly, and it's rolling out in the UK sort of as we speak. I think it's in a handful of sort of major cities over here. I watched. Do you know Marquez? You like your tech? Do you know Marquez Brownlee? The YouTube,
I
the black
recognise the
the
name,
black guy
yeah.
who does all the tech reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So he took his 5G phone over to his closest city that had it just to test it and check it out. He ran a speed test on it, and it picked up
1.5 gig.
1,900 meg download.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy speeds. So nearly 2 gig of download.
Yeah,
But
And just for
the
context,
cat-
what is 4G? Roughly.
4G, I think it's like on a good signal, sort of 50.
Yeah,
Right.
50.
Yeah.
60. I get
So
60.
I mean, it was 60. So it's like a massive giant leap from 3G to 4G. But this is like
An even bigger,
it's a massive step, and what that means for sort of industry. And I read an article about. Quickly, I read an article about what that means for the health industry as well, and people out on the road giving medical attention. It changes things entirely. The flip side of that is.
It doesn't work.
Basically, the type of it's high frequency waves, right? And just generally high frequency waves. The higher the frequency, the less range it has.
Yeah.
So unless you're that 1,000 or 1.9 meg, you need to be standing under the node to pick up that kind of thing. But the bad thing is that anything in its line of sight, you have to have a good line of sight. If there's a building, a tree, or anything like
Or
that,
rain.
it'll rain even. It'll pretty pretty much half that speed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's really
Wow.
quite. It's not great in its range, but I mean, still half its speed is a giant leap anyway.
Of course, yeah.
But then, of course, so the fix to that is to put loads of nodes everywhere. So wherever you move and whatever. And then I don't know if you've heard, but there's apparently considerable health risk.
Well,
But nothing proven.
Nothing proven.
Yeah, a bit nonsense. There was actually a school in Scotland actually that they had one of the nodes put up on in their school, and all the parents stopped their kids from going to school through fear that might cause
5G.
that might cause a problem.
However, not going to school wouldn't cause a problem at all. I guess.
Facebook is opening several pop-up cafes in London to assist users with privacy settings. That sounds like a PR stunt if ever I heard one. Facebook popping up a couple of cafes so you can go in there and have a go at them about all your data and where it's going, etc. It's going to be around for I think a couple of weeks or something.
Here's the thing: if they really wanted to show people how to hide their data, they'd make it exceedingly obvious in their UI. They wouldn't do all this pop-up stuff. They'd say, do you want people targeting? No, it'd be that simple. So
Yeah.
it's just to look good.
It's a PR stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we say no, like any PR is good PR in one sense, and they're proving that, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about it, so
All the bad
Yeah.
stuff that's happened with them, and
you can handle this one because it's relevant given the conversation. Sam, speak to Joe about that.
Oh, Monzo. So there was a sort of a breach not so long ago. Basically, somehow they'd accidentally been storing PIN numbers. So the 4-digit number that you use to get money out of your card, they've been storing them on in plain text log files, so unencrypted. And they didn't know about it for a while.
Yeah, I did hear about it.
Yeah,
That's a massive. It's like a stupid error.
yeah. It's
Yeah. But I think, in one sense, that's what we're talking about all this great tech. That is what you're going to get when you trust your finances with a new startup. A lot of these companies are new startup businesses. And, whilst a lot, I think Revolut have got, not Goldman Sachs, but it might be JP Morgan, one of these big corporate banks, they just brought one of their heads in as head of their kind of banking, because they want to make sure that
They don't do-
these
they
tiny
don't-
little things that are quite important, but could be quite easily prevented.
yeah.
Do you ever use your PIN anymore?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember mine actually. I keep
That's it. I can't remember. I can't remember last time I
Yeah,
actually
it's really
used my
annoying.
PIN for anything.
I do, yeah, obviously.
Getting
Yeah,
that's because you're
probably the
84.
wall
but-
and stuff. Yeah.
money out of the way. Yeah, I can't remember last time I had cash.
And
either.
over
Yeah.
30 quid transactions.
No, if it's Apple Pay, which
Yeah.
most places are now, it's 100.
Not all though.
That was it.
I've not had a problem.
There's a big, I don't know if it's Tesco's or Morris, one of the big supermarkets don't accept.
Don't go to a supermarket. Get it online, mate.
I have tried.
Okay. That was the news. Not too bad. It's certainly quicker than what we've done previously.
Yeah,
Not sure.
that
Still room
wasn't
for
45
improvement.
minutes.
There's still room for improvement. Yeah, indeed. Moving on. Let's get into how you're marketing your business, or specifically, how do you sort of market a business in what is considered a very traditional industry in a very digital world, and how are you reaching sort of those customers that are now living their life online? As an accountancy firm, I don't see a lot of marketing for accountancy firms. So what are you doing to sort of reach your customers?
For us, it is about getting out to the people that we're trying to reach, which is the tech focused, the tech savvy, those sorts of people. They're going to be social media. They're not going to be wanting a posted, great newsletter that they're going to get posted to them and read about boring facts about VAT and all that sort of stuff. That's not what we're looking to do. What we're actually really focused on now is trying to personalize the business. So it's and probably going on a bit now, but I wanted to make the business less personal, so less about me. So I set the business up. The name had an element of my name within it. So by rebranding, it was about creating a brand and us being able to grow that brand aside from me as the business owner. But actually also what we're trying to do is make it personal, because I want all of the staff and I want us to be posting, what the staff are doing, what we're getting up to, things like that.
You want to have a story to tell.
Yeah. So people are actually interested in what we're doing and seeing what we're doing, rather than just seeing, a corporate post,
Right.
which means nothing.
Okay.
Now we have started, for those that look and say, hang on a second, all you're doing is post about your services. At the moment, we are kind of doing a bit of a push on the services. We're partnering with a lot of these apps. So we're doing an app partner of the month. So we're doing some joint blog posts and some joint social media to try and kind of get some reach through that as well.
Okay.
So it's just kind of immersing ourselves in that world. LinkedIn's big for me.
Yeah.
And immersing myself in the fintech world and following and connecting with people that are talking about interesting things.
Right.
Which
I've definitely noticed actually you've been a lot more active since the rebound, certainly on LinkedIn. I think is there sort of a bigger strategy behind that then? Have you been advised on what you need to do?
So as we said earlier, I didn't come up with a name. However, I was given 4 options and I picked the one that we've got, so I still think that it's my choice. But anyway, so we've got a marketing company that have helped us do the rebrand, and they're going to do an element of ongoing marketing support, giving us some direction. So there's a few things that we're planning for later in the year and early part of next year, which we're going to try and be a bit different. edgy is probably a bit pushing it, but we're going to try and do some cooler things that will hopefully bring in.
Can you share any of that or not really?
I can. It's just it might not mean anything out of context.
Fine.
So I'd rather kind of
Yeah.
with the context of the scenario when we're doing it.
And is most of that activity or all of that activity on social?
So one of the things we're going to do early next year is going to be a person event. So people will come. We're going to hire a room for a particular reason, and we're going to invite people to come to that place for a particular reason, basically to digitize them. Basically,
Yeah.
But we're going to be very, very kind of pushy in our marketing about that. So yes, the marketing will be social, but the actual event itself. The other thing is, the way of marketing is we're going to do some events. So we're going to do some training sessions, some zero receipt bank, basic training for people that want to do some of this stuff themselves.
Okay.
So that again we'll do some free events for people just to come and get some training.
It's tough. I think in your industry, it's going to be tough to sort of get attention on these platforms, because ultimately I'm only ever going to come to you when I need that service. So to start seeing your business and your services, etc., in my feed is obviously irrelevant until it's not.
Yeah.
To a point, I think, but also that's in a nice way. That's kind of the philosophy and the mentality that we're trying to change. We're trying to say to people that we're more than just a need. You should want to work with us because we're actually going to help you grow your business. Now, not everybody is going to want that. Not everybody wants to work all hours under the sun and create this huge, great beast of a business.
Amazon.
So I'm not saying it's for everybody, but we are also not looking for in a nice way, the lower end of the spectrum. We're not looking for your one-man band business that wants somebody to just process their accounts or their tax return at the end of the year.
Sure.
We'll do that, and we're not saying we're better than that. We'll of course do that for people, but that's not what
you
our
want to
marketing
deliver more
is about. Yeah, and our marketing is actually, yes, there's an element of need, but it's like anything. Come back to the website type, thing, for example. A lot of the time people only come to a website person when they need a website.
Sure.
But actually, the website can be a huge, like you said, our website is very different to our competitors.
Yeah.
So actually, our website is more than just a website. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing, that you don't want somebody to just come to you when they want a little brochure page website. You want somebody to use that website to help them grow their business. And that's what we're trying to say with the accountancy side of things. We're not just processing your VAT return. We're not just doing your tax at the end of the year. Obviously, we do that. But what we're going to do is add that value to help you grow your business.
And how are you... Oh, sorry.
So I was going to say, I echo that in terms of, when I set up my business, I had an old school accountant, so to speak. It was a referral and a family friend or whatever. But yeah, he was quite old school and it was all offline. But yeah, that versus... So I might be running a business and have that, but then to see some of these extra tools that you're sort of, sharing and it could work for you, I think that is a step change, and it can really change a business.
But that is on this marketing point, that is a real challenge for us because
what does that content look like to get that message across?
And we're accountants at the end of the day. What content can we possibly post which engages our audience? That's the challenge we've got, is how do we become an engaging, exciting business to want to look at.
My next kind of point or question was going to be actually how do you engage with clients who aren't digital natives? So if you think of some of the when I think of the business owners that I've worked with, if I said to them, you need to try it Fluidly and Revolut, they'd like start off like I haven't got time another app I've got to learn. I can barely work my bloody iPhone.
Yeah.
So how are you approaching, or are you actually working with these clients and educating them? Or
so I think you've got to kind of you can't change everybody. We can't have everybody as a client, and we can't make everybody come into the world that we're in and we want to be in. You'd be surprised by the amount of people that you might think aren't, and I'm going to stereotype, so I'm probably going to get shot by a load of builders for saying this, but as a builder, as a stereotypical client, if you like, would you expect them to be scanning receipts on their phone and on Receipt Bank, or would you more expect them to be bagging them up and dropping them off at accounting?
Right, yeah.
And I'm assuming you expect them to bag it up and drop it off. We had clients that would turn up in their van, they'd empty their glove box into a bag and go, here you go, here's my receipts. How many do you think they were missing? And how much of that are they not picking up on? So what we've actually done is given them the benefit of it by showing them what would happen. So we did it first. We said, look, we'll scan all this stuff for you, and you'll see exactly what the difference is
Yep.
when we've done this for you. And now pretty much all of our clients that are builders are scanning their own receipts.
Right.
Okay, they're not using the Fluidlys and whatnot of the world, but just using Receipt Bank
It's a step.
is adding value to their business.
Yeah.
It's getting them more VAT back on their claims.
Transactions. Yeah.
Yeah, and their business is more. When we come to the year end, we can do it much quicker. We can advise them with their tax position much easier. So, yeah, they don't need to be tech savvy and they don't need to do everything. What we're
Right.
saying is, and that's where we come in and we say, look, we'll look at your business and we'll
That's where the diagnostic comes
understand,
in.
Yeah, what is relevant for you and what
Mhm.
not, and we'll only talk about stuff that that is relevant. And on that, really quickly, Pleo said to me, bearing in mind they're trying to get customers, they said, if you're a 2 or 3 man business, we're probably not right, and we will tell any of your clients that
Yeah.
you refer. If in that scenario, if we don't feel it's right, we will tell them. We will not just sell them cards for the sake of selling them cards.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to say now, is that we're not trying to give everybody all the tech in the world. We're trying to give the right tech to the right people.
Right.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Do you do any sort of paid advertising specifically on social?
No, we did one boosted Instagram
Oh.
post.
Boost. He read that B word, didn't he?
Yeah. You
God.
can't say the word boost on this podcast.
Rewind. cut that out.
Is there a reason why you don't do more? Is it
Because I
just
don't
through lack
understand
of okay, fine. Is it something you feel you should be doing as a business, or do you think actually, do you know what? I don't need to do that. I don't need to get into that world of paid advertising through social or Google Ads, where it's, I think, more relevant for a business like yours, where the direct traffic is. Do you just shy away from it, or
Again,
entirely?
it's the lack of knowledge of what we feel is kind of the right way to go.
Options.
Should I or should I not use paid ads? I don't know. I need guidance. Similarly, we guide people in the accounting world.
Sure.
I need guidance
In the
from
marketing world.
marketers to tell us or to kind of guide. Again, you're not going to tell me what I have to do. You're going to guide me with your experience. Same way
Yep.
we guide people with the experience we've got.
Do we know anyone who can do that?
I've not found anyone.
Okay.
So I guess the challenge as well with Google paid ads is, or kind of the SEO side of things again,
Mhm.
how do we get found for the stuff we want to get found for, which isn't the typical stuff that clients will
Be searching
search
for.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we want to be found for the kind of digital stuff and digital accounting and digitizing my finance world and all that sort of stuff. Nobody's going to search for that. People are going to search for, I need someone to do my VAT return. I need someone to be my accountant,
Because the awareness isn't there yet.
That is the perception that people have of the accounting world, which is what we're trying to change with our website and our rebrand. And this is maybe I'm not saying you need to give the answers right this second, but for the marketeers that are kind of listening or whatever, is how does somebody get found for something that isn't yet searched?
Their recognised
that's-
needs sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, we'll be doing an SEO podcast
Maybe I should listen.
coming up soon. Yeah, listen in and we'll tell you all about that. Have you
SEO
ever thought about?
secrets.
I've noticed a lot of accountancy firms sort of niching down as well. Actually, I noticed when I was looking that there's a couple of accountancy firms out there that specifically serve marketing agencies. Because they worked in it previously and they understand the mechanism of how it works, etc., etc. Have you thought, because if you're doing that kind of, you're focusing on digital and those services that you can provide, there's probably particular industries out there that would,
Lend themselves to that.
yeah, indeed.
So have we thought about it? Yes. There's a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, where they kind of become accounting coaches or whatever they call themselves, and they're very differing in their opinion of you need to niche, you don't need to niche, and that's that's the kind of the big question is, do you or don't you? Personally, I don't think you need to niche. I think you need to have a few sectors that you're probably stronger in. So we've got quite a lot of recruitment clients. So we've built some quite nice reporting information for recruitment clients, which gives them some real value to their business. But I wouldn't say we're experts in recruiting or we're niching in recruiting. But we've got probably 3 or 4 sectors where we've got more clients than in other sectors.
Yeah.
But we in the nice sense as well, I want to work with businesses. Digital marketing business is a good example. I want to work with those businesses because they'll understand the tech, they'll be interested in it. Hopefully they'll see some value in what we're doing because they like the tech, they get the tech, and it's adding value to their business. Is a builder seeing a massive amount of value from the tech we're offering? Probably not. All they're really caring about is they've got that VAT back. They don't really care how they got there. Do you see what I mean? Whereas the more digitally savvy business owners will actually, and you're probably one of those, Ian, where you quite like to understand the tech you're using. Like you say about Xero not quite fitting your needs.
No, it absolutely does. It's just ugly. It ticks all the right boxes. Xero is really good at functionality, but it's just a mess.
And I guess that whole niche in versus not is a big sort of interesting question for any business, really. Like, doing social ads and social media or whatever, or doing websites and that sort of stuff. There's a benefit you can see of specialising in an industry versus, like I said, I like the idea of helping a range of businesses that, and
I'm sure we could sit here and talk about that all day long about how for you're limiting your market. If I only deal with recruitment businesses, there's only a certain amount of recruitment businesses that I can deal with,
sure,
and they're not all going to work with me. So if there's 1,000, I'm making that up, but if there's 1,000 of them, let's say only 10% of them are ever going to consider working with me. Just for I've now only got 100 customers, potential customers, and then I'm only going to win 30 of those, so now I've only got 30 customers.
Sure.
So that's what I put, and I am no expert in any way on this sort of thing, but that's what I don't really like niching, because I want to be able to serve more. But you need to have an expertise, you need to have an understanding, and we have said to certain clients, for example, farming as an example, and dentists, or we wouldn't be able to really do theirs because it's not something we've ever looked at. And there's probably little rules and regulations that we don't know about because we've never dealt with the farming industry or the dentistry industry, for example.
You've obviously, Nephos has really embraced digital and technology that helps your business or other businesses. How are your competitors reacting to that digital change? Do you watch them closely enough to care? Are you at the forefront of it? You're beating them to the bit.
So personally, I think locally, we're going to be one of the more forward-thinking. I'm not going to say we're the most, but we're going to be one of the more forward-thinking accountancy firms in this area. I think we are. Personally, I think we're going to be the best app advisors in this area because we are. We're kind of, like I say, I can't imagine any other people in this area being on calls with Fluidly and going to Copenhagen with Pleo to help them develop their products. So I think we're going to be the best at that. I had a call with Pleo. They're doing a bit of content for an accounting publication, which I've helped them with. And it's a big question of, are accountants just jumping on the tech bandwagon?
Oh, right.
And it is true. There's a lot of people that say they can support and advise on apps, but they have absolutely no idea what they're supporting or advising on because they're just literally saying, oh, Pleo, I can see that. Because to onboard a client on Starling or Pleo, very, very, very easy. They've made that whole process really, really simple. So anyone can do it. Because they've deliberately made it so that anyone can do it. So literally anyone can do it. It doesn't have to be the accountant. So that allows an accountant then to kind of say, I know what I'm doing. But actually, do they know what they're doing? And I personally, and a bit controversial to say, but I think there's going to be a lot of fakeness about the app world and the tech world where everybody's going to say they're app and tech savvy when actually
they're not.
And I think it's fair to say, knowing you personally, you love your tech and it's a personal interest anyway. So is there an element that you directed your business that way for your own
selfish?
Because you love it. No, why not? If you love it, talk about what you love, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. If my staff are in this room and you said, so what do you think of Joe and tech? And they'd say, oh yeah, he brings us the latest tech every week. We hear about it for a few days and then it goes away. And then the next one comes along. And
sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually got an addictive personality in general. So, I bought a road bike once and my missus will love the story of I bought all the biking gear then, all the kit that I could possibly need to be on the Tour de France. And I think I rode the bike like 4 times. And now I've given it to my little brother. So, so I do like looking at it and I do like researching it. You've got to be passionate about your business, haven't you? We're talking about marketing and growing your business. An element has got to be marketing, has got to be business development, but you've also got to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't passionate about boring accounting work.
Number crunching.
No. And to be perfectly honest, I never really was. I fell into it and it's a great skill to have, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not something I was passionate about. And I wouldn't have been able to continue for future years doing this business in that area. So an element of it is my my own passion. But if I'm passionate and I'm looking into it and I'm researching
That
it
can
and I'm
feed
going
into
to
your
Copenhagen to see these guys, and really that can only benefit our clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've run out of time, I'm afraid. Nearly an hour in.
That's a shame. It's been
Joe,
fun.
yeah. Thanks for coming in.
Did you think that this accounting podcast would be so much fun?
I'll be honest, I was sceptical, but it's turned out all right.
Thanks very much.
How can we reach you, Joe?
So social media, as we've talked about.
Good. That box is ticked.
So we're on all the social platforms. Some of them are Nefos UK, rather than just Nefos.
Okay.
We've got an office in Cheltenham. We've got a kind of virtual office also in London. So we've got quite a few clients in London.
What's the website address, the new one?
Nefosaccountants.co.
.co.
Yeah, we're cool.
Definitely
you see.
sassy tech company.
So UK does work as well, I'm being told, just in case.
Okay, good.
We can hunt you down personally on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah, that's probably the only social media platform I'm really on. But yeah,
Great. Well, thanks for coming in, Joe, and hopefully we'll have you back again sometime soon.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode.
If you did, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and most importantly, leave us a comment or review on Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us to bring you new episodes regularly.
If you've got something to say around digital marketing and would like to feature on a future podcast, please do get in touch in any of the usual ways. You've been listening to myself, Chris.
Me, Ian.
And me, Sam.